So hello everybody and welcome to the second episode of Student Source. Today we're going to be interviewing Sosa Asarua, who is the founder and developer of Froshbite. Sosa, can you please tell us a little bit more about yourself?
Yeah, of course. So first of all, thank you for having me. So my name is Sosa. I professionally work as a software engineer at Adobe. I do infrastructure engineering for Photoshop, and I've been there for almost 2.5 years straight out of college. And in terms of Froshbite, Froshbite is kind of a passion project of mine that I've been building for the last 6 months or so. I was doing it as part of a master's program with Georgia Tech, getting my master's in computer science, and now it's kind of like a full-fledged thing that I'm trying to build out in my free time. So yeah, that's a little bit about me.
And so what is Froshbite anyways?
So Froshbite is, the aim is for it to be an all-encompassing college planning platform for high school students. And later on, we want to be able to move on to college students who need more career help or advice and things like that. So the goal of Froshbite is to provide high school students with all of the knowledge and resources they need to be able to get through the college planning process, whether it be being able to understand what is needed of them in this process, or just being able to manage and organize everything. I found that when I was in high school a while ago, I was first generation. So my parents are immigrants from Nigeria, and they had no idea about the college planning process or anything like that. So I basically had to figure out everything on my own. And when I think back to it, I realize how much I lost out on because I didn't have that information readily available. So that's what Froshbite is about. And we're just trying to incorporate as much one-on-one support as we can, but also the tech side of things and being able to automate as much as we can to be able to better serve students and make it accessible to as many students as humanly possible.
So I know you talked a little bit about this, but what motivated you to start Froshbite?
Yeah, so I have been thinking about this problem for a really long time. And so a couple years ago, I think in college, I did an internship with this program called Let's Get Ready. And it's a program built to help students from inner city, lower income communities with the SATs and college planning. And so I was the site director. And so I kind of led a team of 6 or 7 tutors and a whole bunch of students in my neighborhood or community. And so I did that for a summer, and I realized that a lot of the students that I was helping, they had the same organization methods or information that I had years ago. And that's little to no information about the college process. And so that was kind of troubling to me because I was like, it's been years since I've been in high school, and you would think that this information would be more accessible to students, especially from students from my area where you might not be able to lean on your parents or your community for access. And so you need to be able to get that info elsewhere. And if you don't have that info, you're not able to make a good decision about your future. And these decisions can really change the trajectory of your life. So that really inspired me. And also I remember being in high school, and my guidance counselor was also a guidance counselor for 400 or 500 other students. So I maybe talked to her at most 3 times in my whole high school career. And so I think those experiences that I had with trying to figure things out on my own, seeing that there's still issues in this system. And then I also did some more academic based research on the entire problem through my master's program. And so with all of that, it's kind of just oh, I have to figure something out. I have to be able to do something and make an impact in some way. And so that's what I'm doing. And I'm still trying to figure it out. Of course, we don't have it all figured out right now. It's a learning process, but it's something I'm really passionate about.
That sounds really cool. So I know you said that this started off as kind of a passion project at Georgia Tech. Mm-hmm. So how difficult was this to developing this and doing your master's program? How difficult was that to balance?
It's been really hard. So I still work full time at Adobe. Mm-hmm. And so it's been being able to balance the master's program, my full-time job, and Froshbite. And luckily I brought in somebody else as a co-founder who has the same passion for the mission as I do. So that's been really nice. And I've been able to delegate some of that work So he takes on more of like the business and social media side, and I can focus on the development work. And I've actually decided that next semester I'm going to take a break from Georgia Tech so I can do some more focused work on Froshbite. And so, but even though I have a lot going on, I've noticed that when you're really passionate about something, you make the time for it. So even though I have so much going on, I'm always trying to make sure I have enough time to Frostbite and have enough time dedicated to it, whether that's like actually putting it in my Google Calendar saying, okay, for this block of 2 hours, I'm gonna do some development work, or I'm gonna reach out to our partners, whatever it may be. So it's just about making the time.
And do you have any advice for students or college students that are kind of looking to start an organization similar to yours, maybe to help their like community or something like that?
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing would be to look in your community and figure out what problems you see and which of these problems directly affect you or have affected you. I feel like when you're working from that angle, it's harder to lose focus because you're so passionate about the problem because you've been through it. And so I think that's one place to start. And then just talk to your friends and talk to people around you. Don't be afraid to share your ideas with people, because I think that's one way to really not only gain traction with it, but also to get like really important feedback on the idea in whatever you want to build. Like you can build things on pure passion, but like being able to bounce ideas off of people I think is a good way to kind of flesh things out, figure out what could work, what could not work, and really figure out the pain point that you're trying to solve. It's cool to just build something for the sake of it, but if you want it to be a business or if you want it to be something that's scalable, you have to make sure that you're actually addressing the needs that you think you are, if that makes any sense.
It does, it does.
Okay, so let's shift the conversation now to your personal experiences while you were applying to college. What experience did you have while applying to college, and how would Frostbite have helped make that easier for you?
Sure, that's a good question. So as I said, I really didn't have much guidance in the process. I kind of just figured out things as I went along. And so I was part of this program called Girls Inc. It's similar to the Boys and Girls Club, but it's more about empowering young girls in their lives. And so it's just an environment for girls, and like they teach you a bunch of different things. And one of the things that they had was this college readiness type program that you could have access to during your senior year. So during my senior year, I had access to that, but the whole time before that, so from my freshman to junior year, I was kind of just floundering and figuring out things on my own. And so I didn't know about really studying for the SATs or what colleges I'd like to go to or what my interests could possibly be. I ended up going to school thinking I wanted to do pre-med, and that was a really bad decision and I hated it. Ended up switching my major. So I had a lot of questions and didn't really have anyone to ask. And also I just didn't know a bunch of things that I should have known. So I think Froshbite is what I'm trying to do at Froshbite is give students all the tools that they need. So from understanding what extracurriculars you should be trying out for, or what a good SAT score looks like, or what type of interest you should look for in a school, depending on what you like to do, things like that. So being able to give students these tools that they need to make an informed decision is something that I really wish I had when I was back in high school. So it's something that I'm trying to build out for students.
Wow, that's really cool. So, what experience did you have? What are some common struggles that students that use Frostbite have, and how does Frostbite like kind of help like alleviate these struggles?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so from our user surveys, we've seen that students love the information that's provided within the playbooks that we have in Froshbite, and they're able to they're able to go through the playbooks, learn some things. It's a bit interactive depending on the playbook that you're in. So it'll ask you some questions, you answer those questions, and kind of makes you think more about the college planning process and what you find, for example, like what you would find as a big factor in you going to a specific school, just making you think a little bit more, giving you the information that you need. Students really like that. Students also really like the college search feature. So being able to go through the platform and look at a bunch of colleges and being able to see information that's simple and clean and clear and right there for them. We've gotten feedback that students would like to be able to search for scholarships and get college recommendations and things like that. So that's also something that's in the works and being built and is in development right now. So being able to search for scholarships, search for colleges, get recommendations on colleges and scholarships. So everything in one platform. And we also got feedback of students wanting more one-on-one help. And in terms of that, we're still trying to figure out how to make that work. I think because we want Froshbite to be scalable and to reach a bunch of students, it would be hard to do one-on-one type of situations, just because being able to scale that to like, what if we had like hundreds of students who needed help? How do we be able to do that efficiently and make sure they're getting quality mentorship? So that's something that we're thinking about and something that is in the works, but we're still trying to figure out the best way to approach it. But yeah, we're in constant feedback with users and trying to figure out which directions to go in and what they like, what they don't like, features that they'd like to see next, things like that.
Really cool. So can you explain a little bit more about how Frostbite works exactly?
Yeah, so Froshbite, basically we have these playbooks to guide you through the whole process. So from your freshman to senior year, and you basically go through those playbooks and you learn about each step in the college planning process. And that could be from extracurriculars to financial aid. And so we're building up those playbooks as much as we can, adding up-to-date information about them. And students are able to track their progress in each of these playbooks. Later down the line, we want to be able to give recommendations on depending on what their progress is so far. Hey, here's something else that you should be looking into, things like that. And then besides the playbooks, we have our college list feature where students can go in, add colleges to their applying or favorites list, and then be able to organize those in terms of match, reach, or safety schools. And so our algorithm will tell you whether or not you have a good balance of match, reach, or safeties. And if you don't, then go back, try to find some other schools that will balance your list out, things like that. And so Froshbite's really self-serve, but in a way that still kind of guides students through the process. We are still, of course, looking at more features to make sure that we're doing as much as we can in the guidance, I guess, part of it, like trying to make sure that students know what they're doing as soon as they get on the site. But yeah, so that's pretty much what Froshbite is.
Okay, so let's talk about high school now. So how was the transition from high school to college? And I know you talked a little bit about having a guidance counselor that also was a guidance counselor to 400 other people. So what other hardships did you have and how did you adapt to them?
Yeah, so I did the Posse Foundation Scholarship, and that's how I ended up choosing my school. So kind of context, when I was doing my research, I was very focused on not getting into student loan debt. And so a lot of my research was focused on scholarships and schools that would get me to that place of not having debt when I graduated. So I applied for the Posse Scholarship, and I don't know if you guys know what that is, or should I?
Could you specify what it is?
Yeah, sure. So the Posse Foundation Scholarship is a national scholarship similar to QuestBridge, but what they do is that they have these different locations, so different Posse locations in big cities, and they partner with different schools. So they can be Ivy League schools, liberal arts schools, big state universities, things like that. And basically, students can apply to the scholarship and you go through a bunch of different rounds of interviews and processing and things like that. And then they pick 10 students for each of their partner schools. So I'm from Boston. And so the partner schools are Hamilton College, Bryn Mawr, Union College, and it was Bowdoin at one point, but I don't remember the rest. But I got picked for Hamilton College. And so it was me and 9 other students. And so the 6-ish months before we transitioned to campus, they had us kind of have these team bonding workshops. And so we would go into the office and kind of they just take us through workshops of what to expect when we got on campus and things like that, and trying to get us to bond. So my transition was different in that sense, where I already had a group of people that I was friends with. And so that made the social scene much easier, but academically, it was another story. So as I mentioned earlier, I went into school thinking I wanted to do pre-med. And so that was my course load for my freshman year. And it was really hard transitioning from high school where, yeah, your classes are hard. I was like taking all APs and stuff, but that transition from high school to college is really drastic for some people, and it was for me. And and so one of the things I regret is not asking for help when I immediately got on campus and didn't really know what I was doing and wasn't doing well in my courses. And it took me like a year to really figure out my stuff and to get myself in a better place academically. So taking advantages of the resources that you have available to you is super important if you feel like that transition is really rocky. But yeah, after my first year, it wasn't as bad, but that first semester is really, really hard. At least it was for me.
Okay, so do you have any tidbits of advice for people applying to college in this time, as there's a global pandemic going around, and for current freshmen in college who aren't able to go to campus and are struggling in classes right now?
Yeah. Yeah, it's a really crazy time to be applying and going to school right now. I think I guess my biggest piece of advice would be to, because maybe you're not able to actually go to the school and visit, make sure that you do as much research as you can before you actually commit to a school. So whether that's like looking at social media of the school, or trying to connect with students who go to the school and like getting more inside information about it, you really have to do the work to make sure that you can get that information without having to actually be there. And I know that there are some companies who are doing, I guess, like virtual tours. So maybe looking into that and seeing if you could be part of that. So I think research is a big thing. Also recognizing that a lot of other students are going through this to this period of time, and making sure to lean on your friends or other people or students or peers who might be feeling down about the whole situation, and making sure that you have emotional support to take you through it, and making sure that your mental health is in a good place, both because of obviously the pandemic, but also college planning and college applications is a really stressful time, and doing that right now during a pandemic is not fun. So making sure that you are in the right place and that you're leaning on friends and family, and yeah, asking for help when you need it, things like that.
Okay,
And
that's good advice.
yeah, but I just had one piece of clarification.
Mm-hmm.
Is Froshbite open to everybody right now?
Yeah, it is free for anyone to sign up, and right now it's focused on high school students, but in the future we want to open it up to college students and help with career planning and things like that. But yeah, Froshbite is open and anyone can sign up.
Well, okay, so I think that's about it. Thank you so much for taking the time to come speak with us.
Yeah,
And we really appreciate it. And we can't wait to see how Froshbite develops in the coming months and years.
thank you so much. I really enjoyed having this conversation with you guys, and yeah, this has been awesome.